Welcome to News Mongolia, where we bring you the latest stories and updates from across the nation and beyond. I'm Batsir Namshar. On the News Mongolia tonight, domestic flights move into Buyant-Ukhaa Airport. Surge in cases of chickenpox among children. Postage stamp for the Year of the Dragon issued. For the news, stay tuned. In recent weeks, Mongolia has witnessed a notable surge in cases of chickenpox attributed to the varicella-zoster virus. Health authorities are closely monitoring the situation as the number of reported cases continues to rise.
The uptick in chickenpox cases has prompted public health officials to raise awareness about the importance of preventive measures such as vaccination and maintaining good personal hygiene practices. The varicella-zoster virus, which causes chickenpox, can spread easily through respiratory droplets or direct contact with the fluid from blisters of an infected person. Chickenpox, a highly contagious viral infection, is common in Mongolia from November to May. Between 2016 to 2019, it affected 30.2% per 10,000 people. Cases decreased during the COVID-19 period. With an incubation period of 14 to 21 days, children remain susceptible even during school vacations. As winter approaches, vigilance, vaccination, and hygiene are crucial in managing this prevalent infection. Efforts are underway to enhance public education and the symptoms of chickenpox and the significance of seeking medical attention promptly. Health professionals are urging parents to ensure their children are up to date with vaccination to reduce the risk of contracting and spreading the virus. Parents are advised to stay vigilant, especially in crowded places, and to follow recommended hygiene practices to minimize the risk of contracting or spreading the varicella-zoster virus. The Ministry of Health continues to closely monitor the situation and will provide updates as necessary to address the evolving public health concern.
Minister Buyant-Ukhaa of the Road and Transport Development Ministry met with Kitanaka Takefumi, the CEO of New Ulaanbaatar International Airport LLC, to discuss enhancing the capacity of Chingas International Airport and relocating domestic flights to Buyant-Ukhaa International Airport.
Minister Buyant-Ukhaa emphasized the significance of Chingas International Airport in Mongolia-Japan relations. However, concerns have been raised by citizens regarding the insufficient number of registration desks and prolonged waits for passenger luggage. With a target of accommodating 2.2 million passengers this year, the focus is on addressing these issues by adding registration desks, improving luggage management, and proposing the relocation of domestic flights to Buyant-Ukhaa International Airport. The move aims to ensure the well-being and convenience of citizens, particularly the elderly, mothers with infants, young children, and people with disabilities, who predominantly use domestic flights. According to New Ulaanbaatar International Airport, management efforts to expand the conveyor belt for luggage and increase space are being made. The number of registration desks has been raised from 16 to 18, with plans to reach 20 by next May. Additionally, there is a consideration for utilizing domestic flight registration desks for international flights. The focus remains on enhancing service quality and fostering dedication and responsibility among all employees in the public and private sector airlines. Following the meeting, the Minister of Road Transport Development announced that both parties have agreed to implement necessary measures to augment the airport's capacity and facilitate the transfer of domestic flights. Under the government's new revival policy, the transport liberalization efforts have led to 2 to 3 times increase in the number and frequency of flights. In 2023, air passengers reached 1.75 million, with 340,000 of them utilizing Oyotara flights out of the 400,000 served by domestic flights the previous year.
Now let's take a look at Mongolia's some current affairs.
In commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the first Mongolian stamp, a new year of the dragon stamp was issued on January 8, paying homage to wooden dragon artifacts from the 17th century known as Chickenpox. The stamp showcases a significant archaeological discovery, a pair of silver dragons from Underotansum in Arkhanga province, representing the first ever find in Asia with a complete dragon image. The year of the dragon symbolizes good health, strength, loyalty, and purity. Hambalama Konchuksurung, along with associate Professor Tavabair and archaeologist Erdenbatar, contributed to the stamp's design. Artist Battur, with guidance from archaeologist Erdenbatar, incorporated an abstract and artistic approach to depict the dragon, aiming to enhance the value of rare finds through research and promotion. Previously, Mongolia issued various dragon-themed stamps such as the 12 Signs of the Zodiac series in 1972 and 1992, the Year of the Iron Dragon in 2000 and the Year of the Water Dragon in 2012, respectively.
Now, let's take a look at currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. False and misleading information tapped the World Economic Forum's latest list of global risks for the next 2 years in a media briefing from London on Wednesday. The Global Risks Report came ahead of this year's Davos Forum gathering of political, business and technology leaders. One of the top contributing factors of such risks is artificial intelligence.
I think as we enter 2024, fairly pessimistic outlook. So in terms of the overall outlook for the next 2 years and the next 10 years, we see that there's a progressive worsening of that outlook.
And we will again go in.
We have in the 2-year time frame mis and disinformation as the #1 risk, followed by extreme weather, followed by societal polarization, interstate armed conflict. That's the top 5 in the 2-year outlook.
Chief Commercial Officer of Marsh McLennan, Carolina Clint, said companies are worried about the boom in generative AI chatbots like ChatGPT.
In my conversations with the companies, 2 issues consistently come up as current key concerns, and it's the impact of artificial intelligence and it is supply chain challenges. That's what companies are concerned about right now. And these are also notable risks highlighted in this year's Global Risks Report.
To some specific topics.
And given the sudden accessibility of user-friendly interfaces like ChatGPT or larger-scale AI models or synthetic content to manipulate public opinion, it's no wonder that misinformation and disinformation is ranked as a top risk short term. The potential impact on elections worldwide over the next 2 years is significant, and that could lead to elected governments' legitimacy being put in question. And this, in turn, could, of course, threaten democratic processes, lead to further social polarization, riots, strikes, or even intrastate violence.
This means that creating sophisticated synthetic content that can be used to manipulate groups of people won't be limited any longer to those with specialized skills. The other big global concern for respondents of the risk survey centered around climate change. Following disinformation and misinformation, extreme weather is the second most pressing short-term risk. In the long term, defined as 10 years, extreme weather was described as the #1 threat, followed by 4 other environmental-related risks: critical change to Earth systems, biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse, and natural resource shortages.
Landing scenario looks a bit.
Wood urged the Council to make clear that the Russian Federation Security Council violations are unacceptable. Russia's ambassador says the accusation is based of false information from the Ukrainian government. Members of the United Nations Security Council have condemned the military cooperation between Russia and North Korea.
This morning, the United States, along with France, Japan, Malta, the Republic of Korea, Slovenia, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom, issued a joint statement condemning the military cooperation that has now come to fruition between the DPRK and Russia. It's abhorrent that a permanent member of the UN Security Council is flagrantly violating Council resolutions to attack another UN member state, violations that further the suffering of the Ukrainian people, support Russia's brutal war, and undermine the global non-proliferation regime.
It is a matter of alarm that, among other things, Russia maintains its capacity to harm Ukrainians from a safe distance beyond the reach of our defensive means due to the ongoing supply of weapons and munitions from rogue states. For over a year, we have consistently drawn the Council's attention to the transfer of Iranian drones to Russia in violation of the Security Council decisions. We also condemn in the strongest possible terms the DPRK export and Russia's procurement of DPRK ballistic missiles, as well as Russia's use of these missiles against Ukraine.
Speaking to the Council, Under-Secretary General Rosemary DiCarlo said there is no end in sight to the war despite the Council meeting more than 100 times. She said more than 10,000 civilians have been killed in the war, including more than 1,200 children.
Mr. President, since the start of the full-scale invasion, this Council has met more than 100 times in various formats to discuss the harrowing consequences of the war. We have heard numerous testimonies about the horrors endured by Ukrainian civilians. We have consistently voiced clear warnings about the risks of further escalation and spillover outside Ukraine's borders and beyond. And yet, here we are, on the brink of the third year of the gravest armed conflict in Europe since the Second World War, with no end in sight.
Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny appeared in court via video link from prison in Harp in the Yamalo-Nenets region for the first time since his disappearance in December 2023. Navalny, the most prominent and persistent domestic foe of President Vladimir Putin, is serving a 19-year sentence on an extremism conviction.
He had been incarcerated in central Russia's Vladimir region, about 230 kilometers east of Moscow, but supporters said he could not be found beginning December 6 of 2023. They said later that he had been traced to a prison colony infamous for severe conditions in the Yamalo-Nenets region, about 1,900 kilometers northeast of Moscow. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday via video link, Navalny noted conditions are much better in the Yamalo-Nenets region than in the IK-6 penal colony in the Vladimir region. Prisoner transfers in Russia often result in contact with inmates being lost for weeks. Navalny's supporters contend the transfer was arranged to keep him out of sight amid Putin's announcement that he will run for another term as a president in the March elections. Navalny has been behind bars in Russia since January 2021, when he returned to Moscow after recuperating in Germany from nerve agent poisoning that he blamed on the Kremlin. Before his arrest, he campaigned against official corruption and organized major anti-Kremlin protests. He has since received 3 prison terms and spent months in isolation in penal colony number 6 for alleged minor infractions. He has rejected all charges against him as politically motivated.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you on Friday with more news and updates. Goodbye.